Support for this production comes from the business law firm of Bailey Cavallari, where a perceptive, practical, and personal approach is the foundation for every attorney-client relationship. More information is available on the web at baileycav.com.
Hello and welcome to Bar Briefs. My name is Aracely Tagliaventi and I'm president of the Columbus Bar Association Board of Governors. Thank you for joining us today. Today we have a very special guest, Jill. Jill, can you introduce yourself to our audience, please?
Indeed. I am Jill Snitcher, Executive Director of the Columbus Bar Association. I've had the good pleasure of knowing Aracely for 10 plus years, 7 of which she has spent on the Board of Governors, and she's just such a tremendous leader. So happy to be here with you today and help share your story with a lot of the viewers out there.
Thank you so much for joining us. So, before we get into this new phase of what Bar Briefs is, because Jill is going to be the one asking me the questions today, let's get to know a little bit more about Jill. So Jill, how many years have you been at the CBA?
I have been at the Columbus Bar Association for a little over 25 years. I actually started here when I was in law school.
Oh my goodness. What was your
Capitol?
What was your first role?
I started here as Director of Membership.
And then from there?
And then from there, when I passed a bar exam, I moved down the hall. I did attorney discipline and unauthorized practice of law for about 5 years. I then left for a minute to be the executive director of the Ohio Association for Justice and came back to the Columbus Bar Association about 5 years after that to be the assistant executive director before becoming director in 2010.
Wonderful. And do you still love what you do?
Love it.
Well, thank you for joining us
But
today.
I'm also lucky to be surrounded by people like you. So that who wouldn't love that?
You're too kind. So with that, we're going to turn it over to Jill. Jill?
Thank you. What I would love for you to share with the viewers today is a little bit about your story. I know your story because I've known you so long, but I really admire that you are a genuine self-made success story in Columbus, Ohio, as president of the Columbus Bar Association. And you're just a remarkable human being. So if you could just tell the audience a little bit about your story.
Sure. So I was born in the Caribbean, small island, Antigua in Barbuda, if you're being fancy. Grew up in New Jersey, East Orange, just outside of Newark. Lived in a single parent household. My mom was a nurse, and my grandparents really helped support my brother and I. And after going to an all-women's college, which is now called the University of St. Elizabeth, and is now co-ed, I went to Capitol. So, and after coming to Columbus, I really decided to ingrain myself in the legal community. I didn't know any lawyers personally growing up, and the interactions that I had with lawyers were very brief. But I always saw lawyers as advisors or problem solvers, and that's what really motivated me to go to law school. And I just fell in love with Columbus. I love this town. I love the people here. They're so much nicer than New Jersey.
I won't tell.
So the CBA was just a great way for me to get involved and get to meet people who were similarly interested or professionally interested. So.
And when you were, I think your first exposure to the Columbus Bar Association was through the Minority Clerkship Program.
That's right.
So very happy to see a success story or two come from that program. And it goes full circle to some of the conversations being had today. So I can think of no better leader to have at this time. And I hope you know how much we appreciate your leadership.
Thank you.
But you've been a terrific leader during some otherwise challenging times. And one of the things I really do admire about you is your tenacity. and your ability to manage so many different balls in the air on any given day. Which she didn't share is she's a wife, a mother, a lawyer, just an incredibly busy person. Tell us how you manage all of this. I think you are an inspiration to a lot of people who want to be you when they grow up. How do you do it all?
So first I will say, I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. Maybe an astronaut, right? That should be easier. But truthfully, I think it is about compartmentalizing things. As a lawyer, you do want to be the brightest, the most intelligent, have the quickest answer, right? It's that law school gunner mentality. But it's okay to be transparent and say, you know what, that's a great question. I've never encountered a situation like this before. And take a breath and say, you know what, I'm going to need a couple days to process this, and I'll get back to you. And I think holding space for myself professionally in that regard has really helped me advance in my career, and being transparent about what I don't know, what I will educate myself on, and how I can best help my clients. Beyond the work aspect, I think holding space for my family, especially that family time. I love coming home after work and then just walking around our neighborhood and pushing my little daughter in her little trolley cart, which she falls asleep in every time. But just being very intentional about, between 6 and 8:30 is really dedicated to my family. And so we make it a point to have dinner together every night, unless there's soccer going on. And then beyond that, being intentional about date nights, right?
Yes.
There's many a time where I've come to a meeting and Jill's like, where are you going? And I was like, date night right after this meeting. And I think sometimes it's about, right, can you kill two birds with one stone, right? And sometimes, my husband gets to come to CBA events. When I broke my foot, he dropped me off at the CBA. And so those are our moments together. And so it's nice to share that part of my life with him as well, because so much of being a wife and who I am is also about my involvement with the CBA. And my son has been here so many times as well.
Yes. We think we'd like to hire him, actually. He's a great personality.
But no, he always goes, that's my mom's other job. So
good. Well, that's terrific. You've also had the good fortune to be supported by a lot of really great mentors that surround you and have throughout your career. Talk to me a little bit about how that has impacted you.
So I will say, whenever I meet someone, if they have a trait that I admire or I want to emulate, I tell them. And I'm very transparent about that. And I say, look, when I grow up, I want to be just like you, even if we're the same age, or even if they're younger or whatever.
Should I be worried you never told me that?
Jill, I'm sure I've told you that many times. You're forgetting. But I think just being very transparent. I like when you do whatever it is, or I like when you said, and just trying to forage and nurture that relationship. I remember meeting Yvette McGee Brown, and I was just so enthralled by her. I thought she was phenomenal. I loved her laugh, and I think that was what got me the first time. I was like, she's so cool. And I literally remember sending her a handwritten thank you note and said, you are amazing, and not in a weird way, can you adopt me? And that was it.
The rest was history.
The rest was history. Similarly with Judge McIntosh, he is a great human being, and I met him at a CBA event, sent him a handwritten note and said, listen, I think you are amazing. When I grow up, I want to be a judge and be just like you. Again, being in law school, you don't really know what you want to do yet.
Right.
And he afforded me the opportunity to shadow him, and so many other judges as well did. And so just holding that space and saying, hey, I really like your personality. I really like what you're doing with your life. Do you mind just meeting with me, having coffee, getting to know me? And then, of course, right?
To know you is to love you.
You're too kind.
That's great. I really admire that you are emulating some of those traits that you've seen in others, and it's great to see you become a mentor to some of the other lawyers. Your involvement with the Bar Association has not only spanned many years, but it has spanned many different functions and responsibilities. Talk a little bit about what you thought was so important to you in running for the Board of Governors and becoming president.
So I will say Sam Peppers really inspired me. When he ran for the Board of Governors, he said, you know what, I think you'd be really good at the ethics committee. And he nominated me to be a part of that. And I remember thinking, I don't know anything about ethics. But Sam convinced me that I would be okay. They do training. And of course, I consulted with my mentors and I asked Judge McIntosh, and he was really great. You're highly ethical. And I was like, maybe. But through that opened my eyes to appointed committees that I could serve on. And then I was also doing the Minorities in the Law program committee, which was then supporting the Minority Clerkship program. And then from there, I did Young Lawyers, the Barrister Leadership Program, and I've just always kind of stuck around, and every single interaction that I've had with the CBA has motivated me that it's important for me to hold space for people who are like me, who never interacted with attorneys before, who didn't have family in professional, office roles. Mm-hmm. And then sharing my story. That's really been what the greatest part about the CBA has been. It's opened so many doors for me. It's allowed me to connect with so many different people. I couldn't say enough wonderful things about it.
So as you look back on your presidency, because your term will be over here in a couple of months, what would you say was the most rewarding or challenging or the best part of the experience for you?
The best part of the experience, when we did the toast to the newly admitted lawyers, I remember what it was like to be them. And I remember being so unsure of myself and so uncertain, and looking at everyone who was at the Bar Association event and thinking, oh my God, if I could just have 1 ounce of that level of confidence, and to be on the opposite side as president, it was just an awestruck moment.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to cry, but it was highly emotional for me.
I bet.
And to have so many people reach out after and say, you know what, your story resonated with me, or I can relate to that experience that you shared. It's so important for us to not forget that lawyers are people too. And yes, we are zealous advocates for our clients, but sometimes we need reassurance as well. And so that's just been, I'm just glad that I've had the opportunity to live a full life at
Yes.
the CBA. Law student to lawyer to president. And so it's been a journey, and I hope it doesn't end with my presidency.
I sure hope it doesn't either. Thank you so much. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much, Jill. I really appreciate you hosting this episode of Bar Briefs. And I know that Jill is going to keep me around.
Yes.
So thank you so much for joining Bar Briefs, and thank you so much, Jill, for asking these very difficult but informative questions. And I look forward to seeing you sometime soon. Thank you.
Thank you.